The 2021 Damon Hypersport HS. Damon Motorcycles commands some pretty impressive technology, and the factory brings that to bear in the EV bike market with its new Hypersport HS. The bodywork will look familiar to fans of the Big Four, same with the brakes, but it's the stuff under the hood that really sets this bike apart. Performance and safety-based electronics combine to deliver a potentially safer riding experience and a more thrilling one at the same time. Could this be the bike to pull in that all-important millennial buyer base? 2021 Damon Hypersport HS design. Damon acquired the intellectual property for the Hypersport HS from Mission Motors and raised $3 million to push out products based on same. So far, the factory has enjoyed some early success with the 19 to 39-year-olds that now make up 25% of the workforce and are the next major buyer base that spans the Gen Y, Millennials, and Gen Z divide. We're on a mission to unleash the full potential of personal mobility for the world's commuters, while reducing rider incidents on the road, says CEO Jay Giraud. To address this, we spent the last 3 years developing an AI-powered, fully connected, e-motorcycle platform that incorporates Copilot, our proprietary 360 warning system. By building it on BlackBerry's best-in-class technology that is safety certified, Damon Motorcycles will be the safest, most advanced electric motorcycles on the market. It's just exactly this kind of tech integration that is pulling in the first generation to be fully digital native. On top of that, this mark is built entirely around e-commerce, as there are to be no brick-and-mortar dealerships, only a direct relationship between the factory and its customers. As for the build itself, I've heard a few fanboys whinge about the similarities between the HS and some of Yamaha's products, specifically from the YZF-R family, but to them I say suck it up buttercup, there's bound to be similarities with someone. A full front fairing and bubble screen cuts much the same figure as any of a number of smoker bikes, and the sport bike scoop-up front reinforces that look. The regular bike design extends down the flyline through the graceful faux fuel tank hump and upswept tail section. LED projectors ride in artistic, angular arrangements for both headlights and taillights for two-way visibility. The instrumentation is bundled into a wide, configurable digital display that uses the feed from your rear-view camera as the background. Not only is this cooler than the other side of the pillow, it virtually eliminates the need for mirrors and provides, in this rider's opinion, superior situational awareness. Additionally, the HS comes stock with a radar function that monitors your blind spots and communicates with you through vibrating hand grips and LED warning lights. There's another interesting facet to the technology in the variable ride position feature that lets you shift between a relaxed, cruising-friendly rider's triangle and an aggressive, tucked-in stance on the fly. The reason I'm not sold on it is because I, for one, rely fairly heavily on muscle memory when I ride, and while it's one thing to swift from bike to bike, it's quite another to change the feel of a bike underway. On the flip side, it does let you have the best of both the sport riding and cruising worlds, and I recognize that there is some value to be had there. 2021 Damon Hypersport HS chassis. The details on the Hypersport HS structure, so far, is pretty sketchy, but here's what we know so far. Inverted front forks float the front end with a monoshock to spring the rear end, both from Öhlins, but no word as yet as to the adjustability thereof. If I had to guess, I'd expect the full spectrum of tweaks to be available. Cast, 17-inch rims mount a 120mm wide front hoop and a 200mm wide rear, both of unknown aspect ratio. Dual, 300mm discs and what look to be 4-piston Brembo calipers slow the front wheel, and out back, a single piston anchor takes care of business with ABS oversight. 2021 Damon Hypersport HS drivetrain. The limiting factors for mainstream acceptance of EV bikes, honestly, comes down to convenience, performance, and range. With that in mind, it seems like Damon has addressed at least a couple of those points on the Hypersport HS, and according to Meatloaf, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. The 21.5 kWh battery pack can be fully recharged in something less than 3 hours, which is nice and all, but you'll need a level 2 charger to achieve that. However, if your trips are less than 200 highway miles in length or 300 city miles, and I'm betting the vast majority are, then that's not a problem as you can just plug it in when you get home. As for the performance, I'm going to call it 200 cubed for 200 horsepower, 200 newton meters, 147.5 pound-feet, and 200 miles per hour top speed. That's stupid fast, folks, and it's plenty fast enough to get yourself in a whole heap o' trouble, to be sure. It's quick too, with a 0 to 60 time under 3 seconds, and since it comes stock with traction control, you can be confident trying to get the most out of it. 2021 Damon Hypersport HS price. The Hypersport HS will roll with a starting sticker at $24,995. I say, well, because they are not in production just yet, but you can pre-order one for just a single Benjamin. Prior to shipping, you'll receive login information to make your color choice, and I assume, select options. 2021 Damon Hypersport HS competitors. While there are some unknowns with the Hypersport HS, I think we can agree that the most important metrics involve the drivetrain, and toward that end we have plenty for a bare-bones comparison against a couple of the current frontrunners. Harley-Davidson Livewire. First, let's look at Harley-Davidson's long-awaited EV bike, the Livewire. The Moco claims 146 miles in the city or 95 miles of combined range from a single charge to fall well behind the 200-mile max the HS brings to the table to give Damon the edge in range. That advantage continues into the performance category as the HD motor generates only 105 horsepower, which is just about half of that of the HS, and a top speed of 95 miles per hour against an admittedly ridiculous 200 miles per hour from the HS. Convenience is a tad harder to quantify, but it looks like owners will have to park at a dealership or a public charging station with level 3 DC output to meet the charge times claimed by Damon. Home charging is something closer to an overnight process. HD's Livewire rolls for $29,799, which is higher for sure, but it's hard to put a price on the brand recognition the Moco enjoys. Read our full review of the Harley-Davidson Livewire. 0SRS. Zero Motorcycles is widely regarded as a top-shelf mark in this field, and its SRS matches the 200-mile range of the HS, but only if you spring for the almost $3,000 power tank accessory. That said, the $19,995 sticker on the standard SRS leaves lots of wiggle room to boost the range without getting upside down on the price. The Zero will achieve a top speed around 124 miles per hour, and while that's lower than the HS, it's plenty fast enough by most standards, and honestly, anything over 100 miles per hour is a waste on public roads anyway. Charge times are all over the board depending on which accessories you choose, but the quickest recharge time is 80 minutes for a 95% charge. Yeah, that's quick, but it'll cost you both in the upfront cash output and the potential range. In order to achieve that time you'll have to opt for the charge tank option rather than the power tank, and that'll cut the range down to 161 miles in the city to leave the HS in an advantageous position. Read our full review of the Zero SRS. He said, "Ya know, this is exactly the kind of performance and range that'll push mainstream acceptance of EV bikes. At 200 miles, the range is already far beyond my day-to-day bike usage, and with the quick charge times, I can see this as a viable commuter and grocery getter as well as a weekend fun bike." She said. My wife and fellow motorcycle rider, Alan Hinton, says, "So I'm looking at the bike thinking this is pretty cool. It's sharp looking and performance is spot on, and then I get to the part where the rider triangle transforms when you change ride modes. Did you watch the video of the shift action? That's some sci-fi stuff, right there. And in case anyone was wondering, the bike does come with mirrors for areas that require them even though the rear camera is so much better than mirrors." 2021 Damon Hypersport HS specifications.
If you liked this video, please share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.